Hello, I'm MCXbox and welcome back to an episode of my Minecraft Xbox Updated Adventures Let's Play. This is the Let's Play where I'm playing through the various updates that have come out for Minecraft on the Xbox, building stuff, killing stuff, and of course, destroying stuff. And in today's episode, I wanted to actually talk about something which a lot of people have asked questions about regarding these swamp villagers. The simple answer to how to get them is to have villagers be born in the swamp, but the more complex question there is how do you make villagers born in a different biome? If you want swamp villagers, or if like me, you want jungle villagers with ocelot pelts on them, how exactly do you make those happen? And in today's video, I wanted to show you the process because it is really long, it is really time consuming. I always recommend trying to find a seed where they generate naturally, although that's very rare, and most of you, if you already have a seed, that's not really an option. So for you sorts of people, something you might appreciate, you cannot put leads on villagers, so what we'll instead do, I guess, is we'll move the boat into the villager, and then we should, okay, this isn't working how I thought it would. But yeah, my plan here, oh well, there we go, is to basically drag the villagers inside of a boat and then use this boat, assuming we can actually hook it on there apparently, which we cannot. But we're going to take two villagers, we're going to take them over to a jungle, and then we're going to breed them and bring the jungle villagers back. It's going to be a lot of steps, but it's something that I think is worth doing, and that's why we're doing it today, assuming we actually can. Maybe we just have to nudge the boat very slightly at the back. Over and over again. Okay, I have attached it to the boat. For some reason, it only works on one of the sides in one of the places. And now we're going to try and drag the boat very, very gently. We could also just use water, because I do have a water bucket, and just try and gently shift it. We'll lose all our water when we do that, but it's probably fine, right? So, hey, for some reason, putting water under the boat made it work. So just like this, you can see, moving villagers in a boat is not an easy process, but it's one you have to do, and it's one we're doing today because I wanted to show you the whole process of moving villagers around because it's not a particularly normal process. It's not easy, it's not something you do all the time, and it's something that you might try and then conclude it's not possible, but it is in fact possible. It just requires a lot of really weird doing, and yeah, we actually have a boat highway specifically built for this that should, assuming the lead doesn't snap, that should go really well for us. So again, same thing's going to happen here. We're going to push the water from here. It's going to hopefully push them down in there, or push them backwards. Wait, let's try that again. Why does that work that way? Why do they go... Ah, there we go. And just like this, you're going to see they're now down on the ice, which means putting them is a lot easier. So, yeah, while we move these villagers around, because the Let's Play is not just a way for me to give you a little bit of a guide on how to move villagers through Minecraft, because we're going to take them to my closest jungle biome, which is where my house is at. You can tell by how green the grass is. But, yeah, I wanted to... There's bats in here somehow. I wanted to, while I walk through this very long tunnel, which leads... It's going to be a long way to the other side. I wanted to talk a little bit about what I've been up to this past week, as well as talk about something interesting, which is, why would you want to change your villager colors? Why do you want to have villagers that instead of being, you know, green are red, or instead of being red or green are, you know, yellow with ocelot pelts or something? Why is this such a common one? Also, you can see where the issues for this, just build and build and build. It is not easy to get, okay, they've gone too far this way now. It is not easy to get these guys to just go on a simple straight line that was built for me. It wasn't built for villagers. Again, I only realized just for this episode, like, hey, I've got a thing that should make this easier. Still not easy, but easier. So yeah, basically, while we move them around, I'll talk a little bit about why we even want to change colors of things and what I've been up to the past week. So just in case you're curious, because again, this Let's Play is, oh, there's some torches in here that make this a problem, apparently. Do I have ice on me? I do not. I guess we'll just use scaffolding. Yeah, so this should allow them to just pass over it. Pro tip, never let a boat go... Oh, they just went flying towards me. Never let a boat that's been in water go on ice. That's just, you know, bad pro tip right there. It won't work well for you. Always keep it on the ice, not on the water. Water is like 1/16 of a block lower than ice, and it causes issues. But let's talk about what's been going on, because a lot of people like this as like a weekly update of Toy Cat. And if you don't know, I went to Taiwan last week. It was really great. It was I enjoy traveling to any country I haven't been to before, and Taiwan in particular was really interesting for you know, like, I guess how different it was to my perception, and how much, like, I guess, out time, like, mountain climbing time I had. I call it mountain climbing, like, it's like, I'm going on an adventure and discovering a mountain. But, yeah, it was a super fun thing. I enjoyed my Taiwan time a lot, and China was the most shocking country to go to because it was so different than I expected. I admittedly went to one of the most global cities in China, but it was crazy that, you know, like, a country that literally 20 years ago had a GDP of $1,000 per person per year. The average earning in China was like $100 a month. 20 years ago, it's gone from that to global city where there's tech everywhere. There's a lot of tech in this city that makes like your city, where you earn like 20 times that on average, makes that look really awful. Like, oh man, really? That's to me that was impressive. It's like one of the world cities of the world, and yeah, it's something that maybe isn't appreciated enough. So now what we can do is we've got the villagers over here to a jungle. I think this technically counts as a jungle. We can only find out for sure by breeding the villagers. And then what we do is we sit them down here. We build them a little house. So I could build it out of any of the blocks we have here. We could use barrels. We could use, yeah, let's use dirt actually. Nice simple dirt house. We'll lock them in, and that way, they can't get out and they can't end up in a non-jungle biome. And then we'll make them breed, because as long as they have beds, they can breed, and that's all we need from them. So yeah, nice and easy, simple stuff. Make a second floor, now do it like this. And now you can see we've made the simplest house in the world. But our simplest house in the world is all you need, because if you're just trying to change a village color, if you're making a temporary house, it doesn't need to be fancy. A lot of people will choose to make it fancy, but today we just want to have the bare basics of what is considered a house, and then we want to make them able to breed, which requires some beds. But yeah, seeing China, seeing one of the world cities is pretty crazy in my opinion. Also, something that I find interesting is it's one of the few parts of the world where there is like a it's very ethnically homogenous, I guess. And in the sense that, like, there are some people there, I don't know, like, how often they saw white people, but every time, it was just me, like, people would lock eyes with me and stare at me, like, what are you doing here, friend? Like, and that sounds like a terrible thing, like, oh, you went somewhere where they basically stared at you for not being the same. And again, I wouldn't like it if I was living there. I would definitely be not on board with that. But I also think it's fascinating that there are parts of the world like that, and obviously there are parts of like rural villages where you would expect that, but in a major city, in like, also we use white wool instead of black, because everyone loves a good white bed, right? They're the best types of bed. But yeah, no, the interesting thing is like, it's not something I enjoy, it's not something I would choose necessarily, but it is something that is fascinating that still exists in cities, because again, cities are, to some extent, like the future of society, because there's more people together, there's more things that people collectively build, right? Like the thing that makes humanity special is a lot of us like, I've said before, I like my private time, I like, my private space, but I also think what makes humans cool is what we do together, right? Like, we couldn't have invented a nuclear bomb, for better or for worse, if we all were just in our own little caves. The fact that, okay, so, I'm not sure if these villagers are even going to have access to these beds, but I guess we should try, and then see what happens. So we'll make a little... Okay, there we go. Let's do this. So we'll have a bed be here, a bed be here. I'm hoping these all count as beds. Oh, look, there you go. They do. And then we have a bed there and a bed there. Perfect. So now we leave the villagers, and they can make love to each other. I don't know if they can do that inside the boat. I guess we'll find out right now. Can villagers make love on a boat? The question you didn't think you wanted to know the answer to, but you better believe you're about to find out. Oh, they cannot. Okay, so now we take them out of the boat. We'll bring this back later. Oh, they are not happy with their current situation, it seems. And then, yeah, we just maybe get a scaffolding going on here. You cannot do that. Okay, so scaffold out, scaffold in. I don't believe villagers can climb scaffold. Now we wait until they breed again, which might take some time, actually, because they failed the first time. Pro tip, I guess we'll go to sleep as well. I'll sleep in the house as well. There's nothing that makes villagers want to get it on, like seeing they've got a cat sleeping in the house with them. It's just basic human fact right there. But yeah, one of the things that I find interesting is that there, again, to some extent, what we do as a collective is the things that are really impressive, and defining how you control that collective is the big debate we always have in society, right? But the fact that the collective achieves something is something I don't think is refutable. It is refutable. There are a lot of people like, oh man, I hate that we're killing the planet this way. But it's like, that's, that is, we have done so much together that we just coincidentally also killed the planet. Also, did the villager get born with the right thing on? I can't see the little villager. Where's he gone? Like, did he vanish? Because I saw him spawn, right? Oh, he probably climbed out of the little thing there because he's a block smaller. Where is he? Did the child die instantly? Is he trapped inside something? Did he run away? Is this the child over here? Is this what happens when you when you have two villagers breed in the jungle. Where's he gone? I have legitimately lost him. Okay, so we're gonna wait until we can get the villagers to breed again. It's gonna be a little bit of a waiting game. Okay, it's happening again. We got the two green villagers. Are they gonna make a yellow villager? Let's find out. Because you know, one of the things about this that's interesting is there are basically 6 different types of villager, right? 6 villagers from different... Hey, he's yellow! And he exists this time. So just like that, you can see we had a yellow child. I'm very happy about this fact, of course. But the interesting thing to me is the fact that, like, you know, obviously in Minecraft, the actual villagers are all the same, you know, in Minecraft. They're very pink, I guess you could argue Caucasian looking, right? Caucasian? The word is Caucasian, but it feels like Caucasian in my head. But anyway, now we have ourselves a brand new villager. If we want to, we can leave the other villagers be, and we can put this guy in a boat. And then because it's only one villager, we can ride him around in a boat, and we can take him back with us. Which means, in this village, which already has villagers most people can't get, we can now take our little baby villager that we just made. We can steal him right from his parents. We can go Madeleine McCann all over this stuff, and we can, you know, make him a part of the new village, which will be great in my opinion. And again, it's going to be a bit slow in places, a bit fast in others, but it's still pretty cool that you can take villagers from an existing village, you can take them out of that village, they can breed and they'll create a thing from the different thing. Which to me, okay, just here's an interesting point, right? Because I don't want to talk too much about, you know, I feel like you talk about colors too long and someone's going to end up wanting to, you know, kill you for your beliefs. However, something I think is interesting is, you know, the nature of the fact that the way, you know, the way color is defined, right? It's like, oh yeah, there is, you know, white people. Oh, is he going to run back to his old village? If so, I feel like we should stop him, right? Nah, okay, he's just having fun running down here. I hope. But, I've always thought it's funny that we define the world as, like, black and white, right? Like, oh yeah, there are white people, there are black people. But in reality, right, it's like white people, brown people, and then there's also... you know, like, because I have a lot of Asians where I grew up, and I don't have any black people. Sorry, like African descent people. You know, like Jeff, my friend, is African, if you don't know. But he's pretty much the only person in my life. No one in my school was black, at least for the longest time. And because of that, it was always like, oh, it's white and brown. Black is like exaggeration from TV or something. But then you realize, like, oh no, it's just 3 colors, but we're simplifying because they're opposite ends of the spectrum or something like that. Also, look, he's now officially settled down here, which means if we want more yellow jungle villagers, and you better believe for some reason we do, now we just ride our boat all the way back, and we can do this over and over again to get as many yellow villagers as we want. Because now that the baby villager has left the previous village, the population of that village can go up again. And yeah, you could do this 2 by 2 if you wanted to. I think it's probably faster 1 by 1 because when I ride the boat versus when I pull the boat, it's a lot faster. But it's a pretty cool little thing we can do to get a different color of village altogether over there. But yeah, so we simplify things down to like, even when you go down to 3, like, oh, so okay, there's white, there's Asian, and there's black. Fun fact, by the way, Asians are 60% of the population on Earth. Like, you might think that white is normal, or if you might think black is normal, you know, you could make an argument for like, well, really, we started as black. You can make an argument that way, but really, Asian is normal, and white and black are both the weird, like, oh. So that, you know, my grandmother, I always told this story, you know, you can argue whether this is an okay thing to say in a Minecraft video or not. But she always used to say that, you know, because she was very religious, if you don't know, she was a Catholic. She's from Sri Lanka. I'm Asian, fun fact, well, only slightly. But, yeah, so she was always like, oh, yeah, so what happened was, you know, God put, you know, some people in the oven, and he put them in there for not long enough, and that's how white people were invented. Then he put some people in there for too long, that's how black people were invented, but then for just the right amount of time, and that's how we ended up with brown people. And like, that's like the most racial superiority, like, you know, with a bit of religion mixed in there too, right? Like, it's the worst of everything you want to hear from people. But yeah, it's a thing I heard. And a part of that is because of the fact that we define so much by this. But wouldn't it be interesting? I wonder, like, what if we lived in a world where we had literal different colors? Like, not just like, oh, different shades of the same thing. Because white, gray, black are all vaguely similar, right? What if we were literally every country, you know, like, when you go more than 1,000 kilometers, let's say, you literally change color. Also, we're gonna have to wait for some more villagers, so... So when they do things slightly wrong, this is the child you end up with instead. And I'm just saying, it's not quite right. But no, yeah, there's a little bit of a cooldown between when villagers can breed once and when they can breed again. It's roughly 15 minutes. So we've gone through a whole Minecraft day now. or a whole Minecraft day and a little bit of a night. So we should be ready in a few minutes. Okay, so I've waited 20 minutes, and now we can give the villagers some food because, you know, like any good couple, they need to have food before they can reproduce. It's just the law of the world, and now we give them the food and we wait a little longer. Also, just as a fun little side note, when you throw potatoes on a bed, any item, they bounce like a person does. I didn't know that's a thing, and it looks really funny in my opinion, like just seeing potatoes bounce at the villagers. Fun way to give them stuff. A weird thing about villagers is they can stay in bed even after you wake up. Maybe this villager's depressed. Maybe that's why he won't breed. Because it's been some time. I've given them all the time they need to cool down. They have food. They have the most wonderful house in the world. But they won't make me some more yellow villagers, which is all I want in the world. So, yeah. I think realistically, if we left, came back, if we give this some time, this will probably fix itself. But for now, you know, I could spend all that time. I could spend another 40 minutes from now watching this, but I'm sure you've all understood how this works now, right? Like, villagers, when they breed in a biome that's not their own, they'll create villagers off that biome. If you want red villagers, take them to a savanna. I've got one over there. If you want the tiger villagers, take them over to there. Take them to a frozen ocean if you want the ice villagers. And if you want a jungle villager, which, let's be honest, we all do, either find yourself a really, really rare, amazing seed, or you can just, you know, like, let them breed in a jungle biome, and you probably have a jungle biome somewhat near spawn. Also, I think this officially counts as a village now, because as well as having ocelots spawn here, because it's a jungle, we also have cats spawning here, because, again, cats usually only spawn around villages, not jungles. So, yeah, fun fact, we've got ourselves some ocelots, and we've got ourselves some cats, neither of which like me, because they're, you know, they're wild cats and wild ocelots. Anyway, now we've got that sorted out. That's a thing that's all good and dandy. Let's go ahead and let's talk about whatever we want to for the rest of this episode. And also, it's 400 episodes, eh? This is episode 402 of a Let's Play. Probably gone too far. Yeah, that's definitely a thing that's a thing. So yeah, let's talk at least a little bit about... Because, you know, actually I'll finish my points on racism, because, you know, we were talking about colours, right? You know, when talking about colours and talking about how people see people that way, I've always wondered, like, you know what, if we didn't have skin colour, or, you know, like we did, but everyone was literally the same, every human was within, like, you know, 2 shades of degrees of, like, you know, either white or Asian, you know, every human looked the same that way. I reckon that racism isn't because of skin color. I reckon that at one point, like, again, this is a controversial opinion of Soy Cat. At one point, racism was a good idea. I don't know when that point was, like 3,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, even as recently as 500 years ago. Because when, you know, like, being able to trust people outside your tribe is a key part of any animal, you know, that wants to survive. Because you need to be able to, you know, people who are going to do bad things to you, you're not meant to trust them. You're meant, and people who might do bad things to you, it's better not to trust someone who does something bad and be wrong than to trust you know, like, it's one of those things where being distrustful was a very useful trait for the longest part of history. So at some point, again, this is this is the worst quote to take out of context, but you know, at some point, racism was a smart decision. Working out people who weren't from a similar area to you, and being able to, it's discriminate against even the right word here, but being able to, you know, like, see them as an other was a smart and useful ability that we had. By the way, I haven't finished this in forever, so it's going to be nice just to put a lid on this and be done with it that way. Don't put a lid too hard on it, though. Something Chernobyl, am I right? But yeah, basically, yeah, I've always wondered, like, at what point, you know, like, if... Is having, like, skin color the one delimiter? Because the cool thing is, we're racist over something that makes literally no sense, right? Like, because pigments in your, is it melanin, I think? The thing you have in your skin? Because of that, like, now everything's so terrible. And it's something that everyone, like, you know, logically in the modern world, as soon as you've, you know, like, anyone who, again, if you've ever seen anyone of a different color, there are some people watching this video who no doubt have not, and are like, oh yeah, they're the bad ones, right? Then you realize, like, oh yeah, it's literally the same minus skin pigments. Isn't it cool that we're racist over something so minor? Only because of the fact that it's so easy to deprogram yourself from. Whereas if it was something like, oh yeah, so there's half the population that look like us, you know, like, let's say real humans, and then there's this island chain somewhere where literally their hair is made of spiders. Not like, oh yeah, it looks like spiders. Their hair is literally live spiders. That'd be something that'd be, you know, really hard to get over, I reckon, you know? I reckon I would still be cautious of going too near those people. But, yeah, no, the thing is, right, is, so, the cool thing about the fact that we have this whole system, which, you know, there's many downsides historically speaking from it. But the one cool part about this system is that it's one that was very easy to, for the most part, fix. Again, there are still racist people in the world. There's still people who hate you for a whole bunch of reasons, right? Like, that's just a fact that is a fact. But the fact that, like, if you know, anyone who actually thinks about it, anyone who isn't just taking their parents' view, realizes that, like, oh yeah, you know, it isn't a real thing to worry about. Also, I should leave this here because it looks like the luck symbol in Minecraft. And, you know, actually, I think I might leave this way. I know that probably infuriates a lot of people. But you know what? Who am I if not someone who infuriates a lot of people on a regular basis? So let's fly away. Let's leave it be. We probably should take this stone somewhere. I've got so much stone that I have to work out useful. Like, I build almost everything out of stone here, right? So I probably should also work on those things. But, yeah, one of the things that I think is kind of interesting is that, like, so we had this big problem. Again, at one point, there was this real use for something, and then we moved to the one world where everyone's kind of everywhere. Like, something I think is crazy when you really get down to it is that, for instance, when you see someone of Asian descent, you can't tell for sure, are they from, you know, like a country in Asia, or are they, say, a Canadian, say a Asian American, say a Asian British person, or whatever. Like, you can make good guesses. There are symbols of that, but that's something that is less true for white people, right? Or at least maybe because, you know, I am you know, white, and I live in a country that was originally you know, the native inhabitants of a white or whatever. But, like, it's very, very rare. It's not impossible, but it's very rare to find a white person who's actually fluent in Mandarin Chinese, for instance. So, also, I want to find my yellow villager, and then we're going to try and convert him into something. But it's rare to find someone who's, you know, fluent in Mandarin and doesn't speak English, or, you know, one of the European languages, let's say. It's really interesting because you see there actually is a part of China which has switched back and forth between Russia and China a few times, and because of that, there are native, you know, ethnic Russians who speak Chinese, and it's like, oh, this is how it is for most of us. And I think that's the point. Once that happens, you know, like, again, I think anyone who people act like, oh, racism is a big problem in our day, and, you know, again, I think there are, I think most of the problems have been solved. It's just people debate as to how many are there to be solved or things like that. But I think the things that are interesting with regarding, like, the future of, like, how do you fix the skin color disparity? I think it basically fixes itself, right? As the link between being from somewhere, you know, like, because, you know, it hates distrusting other people because they're not from where you are. It's not useful anymore, but it's still built into us. But as soon as you can't tell that by visually looking at someone, it's the easiest thing to deprogram, right? Imagine if we thought to ourselves, like, also, I think I don't know where he's gone, but this villager is genuinely missing, right? Like, my yellow villager, we spent all of today finding him and then trying to make a duplicate, and he's genuinely just vanished. It could be that he's walking back to the original village, or it could be that I just haven't seen it. There's a lot of villagers here, to be fair. But, you know, this is not looking good for my hour's worth of time that has gone into this video so far. But, yeah, we should have ourselves... Oh, there he is. He hasn't grown up because I haven't been here. So even though an hour's passed and village has grown 20 minutes, because I wasn't around for the time, he hasn't grown up. If that's not a tragedy, then you tell me what is. But yeah, now if we give him any skilling table, if we give him a barrel, he'll turn into a fisherman. If we give him fletching tables, he'll turn into a fletcher. And I kind of want that because you can buy tipped arrows from fletchers. You know, honestly, I want to do a whole thing with villager breeding. Like, I have so many villagers anyway, and only some of them have professions, like my butcher over here. And I think the villager I want most now is a fletching villager. So we should just go ahead and craft that. Like, grab some string, make a fletching table, make a bunch of fletching tables, and then make a fletching room. Like, this room right here would make sense as a fletching room, right? You know, actually, I've got villagers trapped in this room. One is standing in a crafting table somehow. One is standing there, one is standing here. Let's make them all into fletching villagers. So, as long as we find some string somewhere, that should be easy to do. And then they'll be trapped there, and it'll be perfect. So, I definitely have string somewhere. There we go. I believe a fletching table, if I'm not mistaken, is 2 wood and some string. So that's a smithing table. And this is a loom. No, also, I'm thinking of a loom. So what is the fletching table? Like, it's got some... Oh, it's got some flint in there. Flint is everyone's favorite block that you can actually trade with. Probably fletching villagers, actually. But we're going to take ourselves some flint. We're going to make some fletching villagers. And we're going to get ourselves... Actually, yeah, it feels like I've made these before. Also, it's kind of weird that I'm using birch planks to make the actual birch table here. But yeah, so every single villager, they require 1 skilling table. So we've got 3 now. Each of these guys will turn into fletchers, I hope. Again, I hope they can't get out there. Let's place 1 here, just to guarantee he can't get out. Let's place 1 over, like here, I guess, because why not? And then 1 up there. Actually, no, I'll place it like up here as well, just so he knows he's locked down there. So these 3 villagers, or 3 of these villagers, should turn into fletchers. It could be anyone in the village because it's such a close together village that you can't be sure. But what should happen is we'll end up with some fletchers that we can rush through the trades off and get ourselves some rare things. Again, it might go horribly wrong, who knows for sure, but that's the plan at least. Also, we've lost our baby yellow villager again. That's a real problem. But yeah, because this actually kind of relates to Minecraft. Again, we're gonna solve racism with a Minecraft video right now, right here. So here's the interesting thing, right? In the way Minecraft villages work is a kind of how the world works, or at least how the idealistic version of the world works. If you don't believe it does work this way, but like regardless of what like your melanin, your genetics say, you're a product of your environment to some extent. So even though we have this yellow villager, he was born in a yellow place, the jungle where he had ocelot pelts. We have a villager that was from there, but if he breeds in this villager, he's going to make a swamp villager, right? Because he's in a swamp. And there you go, racism solved right there. What doesn't matter is the color of someone's skin, but the content of their character. There we go. Look at that. We did it. We solved racism, guys. I hope you're proud of that. But yeah, no, I think a lot of people say like, well, you're too ignorant to talk about this, Cat, because you haven't experienced it in your life. And I am lucky. I live in a place where it doesn't happen, and therefore something. I'm sure there's somewhere on Earth that's worse, and therefore there's me covering my bases. I'm sorry if you're offended, Mr. Live Stream and/or video people. I don't know why you're a Mister. Maybe that's the offensive thing here. But yeah, let's get out of here. Let's go find a bed that isn't surrounded by this many villagers. Look how full it gets in here, for real. Like, what am I meant to do in there? Tell me, friends. But yeah, let's head out there and let's just talk about a little thing before the end here that I think is important, because it's something that's taken me a really long time and I'm really hyped for it. And I want you to be a little hyped for it as well, because I have officially finished my latest big project. I finished it over this weekend. The big Never Overworld thing is now officially finished, and it should be edited together, hopefully for Wednesday. So Wednesday, if you want to see the month-long, it's a whole month worth of footage here and doing stuff here and there, edited down into one video. If you want to see a whole month of Minecraft, but in half an hour, then you can see that on Wednesday. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, because here's the crazy thing about this that you might not realize, is I actually do have I have a Nether Highway, and that Nether Highway links up like a lot of portals. But then there's there's another Nether portal that I need to link in. And the way I decided to do it was, rather than just making this boring stone highway, because also, like making stone is kind of cool because it's man-made. I figured I'd make the least man-made thing I could, which is the overworld, but in the Nether. So yeah, I'll show you how I made that soon. I know I'm committing one of the cardinal sins of YouTube right now by like hyping up a future video, but it is something that, again, one of the things that gets me hyped recently is making these cool big video projects and seeing people's reaction. It makes me feel good and happy, and oh my god, okay, it's a world glitch, not a real thing. I was like, how did this get destroyed? But yeah, it's one of the things that has brought some hype to me recently. And yeah, if you've watched, and this is your thing, you want to watch it, it's out then. If you don't want to watch it, then thank you very much for watching this video anyway. You can like it if you did like it, share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're around here so you can see videos like this one every single day on your homepage. Goodbye.